King Ofortoku harbored a secret as dark and twisted that it threatened to tear the kingdom apart from within. Despite his outwardly regal demeanor, he was consumed by a deep-seated fear of losing his grip on the throne, a fear born of a childhood spent in poverty and hardship. Once upon a time, in the sprawling expanse of the Oyomere kingdom, nestled amidst rolling hills and lush forests, there reigned a king whose name struck fear into the hearts of his subjects, King Ofortoku. He was a man of towering stature and commanding presence, with a visage as stern as the granite cliffs that lined the kingdom's borders. From the moment he ascended to the throne, King Ofortoku ruled with an iron fist, his word law and his will absolute. Under his reign, the Oyomere kingdom prospered, its field abundant with crops, its people safe from harm. But behind the facade of prosperity lay a dark and sinister truth, a truth that would shake the very foundation of the kingdom to its core. For King Ofortoku harbored a secret so dark and twisted that it threatened to tear the kingdom apart from within. Despite his outwardly regal demeanor, he was consumed by a deep-seated fear of losing his grip on the throne, a fear born of a childhood spent in poverty and hardship. As a young boy, Ofortoku had watched helplessly as his own father was disposed from the throne, cast out into the wilderness to die alone and forgotten. Determined not to suffer the same fate, he swore to himself that he would do whatever it took to maintain his hold on power, no matter the cost. And so, it was that King Ofortoku became a man consumed by ambition, his every waking moment dedicated to preserving his reign at all costs. But as the years passed and his power grew, so too did the darkness that lurked within his heart. It began with small acts of cruelty, a harsh word here, a swift punishment there. But as time went on, King Ofortoku's cruelty knew no bounds, his subjects living in constant fear of his wrath. And yet, despite his iron rule, dissent began to simmer beneath the surface, whispers of rebellion growing louder with each passing day. But King Ofortoku was not one to be trifled with, and he dealt with dissenters swiftly and ruthlessly. Any who dared to oppose him were met with swift retribution, their voices silenced forever in the darkness. Yet, even as King Ofortoku's power seemed unshakable, a storm was brewing on the horizon, a storm fueled by the ambition of his own flesh and blood. For King Ofortoku had 3 sons, each born of a different mother, yet all bound by a common desire to claim the throne for themselves. From a young age, they had been taught that power was everything, and they would stop at nothing to seize it for themselves. The eldest son, Akin, was a cunning and ambitious young man, eager to prove himself worthy of his father's legacy. He had inherited his father's ruthless streak and was willing to do whatever it took to claim the throne for himself. The second son, Adiola, was of a gentle nature, yet no less determined than his brother to ascend to the throne. He had spent years cultivating alliances and building support among the king's nobles, biding his time until the moment was right to make his move. And then there was the youngest son, Ayodeji, whose thirst for power born brighter than any flame. He had always been the favorite of his father, showered with gifts and favors, yet his ambition knew no bounds. He would stop at nothing to claim what he believed was rightfully his. As the years went by, King Ofortoku grew increasingly paranoid. Convinced that his own sons were plotting against him, he began to sow seed of discord among them, pitting brothers against brother in a deadly game of manipulation and deceit. But even as King Ofortoku plotted and schemed to maintain his hold of the throne, fate had other plans in store. Slowly but surely, the whispers of rebellion grew louder until they could no longer be ignored. In a daring coup, Akin, Adeola, and Ayodeji banded together to overthrow their tyrannical father, rallying the support of the king's nobles and common folk alike. And so, it was that King Ofortoku's reign of terror came to an end, his grip on the throne finally broken. As he was led away in chains, his once proud stature reduced to that of a broken and defeated man. King Ofortoku could only watch helplessly as his sons ascended to the throne in his place. And as the sun set on the Oyomere kingdom, a new era dawned, one filled with hope, promise, and the faint echo of a father's folly. But the downfall of King Ofortoku was not merely the result of his son's ambitions. It was a culmination of years of tyranny, cruelty, and a relentless thirst for power that had left the kingdom fractured and its people in despair. As Akin, Adeola, and Ayodeji assumed their rightful places as rulers of the Oyomere kingdom, they vowed to undo the damage inflicted by their father's reign. They pledged to govern with compassion, fairness, and integrity, striving to rebuild trust and unity among their subjects. But the scars of King Ofortoku's rule ran deep, and healing would not come easy. The kingdom was divided, its people wary and distrustful of those in power. Akin, Adeola, and Ayodeji knew that they faced an uphill battle, but they were determined to lead by example and earn the respect and loyalty of their subjects. Meanwhile, the former king languished in exile, his once proud spirit broken and defeated. He had been stripped of his power, his wealth, and his dignity, left to wander the wilderness alone and forgotten.